Everybody, it's Tyler here at Sacramento in California. Checking in with your new world record holders. It's 5940 Bread, an incredible team with an awesome robot this year. Of course, that dual turret is a huge thing. A lot of people have been looking at this. Love their E-chain overall they're going through, and we're doing a full robot overview on this, all the way through from that intake, spindexers, shooter, a whole lot more, especially with software as well too. So let's learn more about them coming up here on Behind the Bumpers. Cool, let's start diving into this robot here. Just talk to me more about why did you choose this type of robot architecture, and can you just give us more of an overview on it?
Yeah, for sure. So we decided to go with this architecture with the double turret design because we really thought that defense is going to be a really huge thing. So at the start of the season, we did consider a big dumper style robot, such as the citrus bot or fruit bot, but we really thought that the defense will be a huge thing, and no turret defended super easily. So we decided that we wanted a turret robot, and we thought about like a single turret, like spindexter style robot as well, but we were really concerned about the amount of balls we can push through the shooter, so we decided to have two shooters on a turret.
So your team just set the world record quite recently as we're recording this on here. Any regrets on the current pathway that you've gone so far for your robot?
We are still kind of like working on how to get this robot to shoot at a higher BPS. Like we have this spindexter, like jetexter system we have over here, but we are still not happy with it. Like we want to be able to push it further, and we're still working on it still.
Well, let's start talking about some of the key features. Pass over to Alicia, and we're going to be hopping into your intake. So Alicia, let's start from there. What can you talk to me about more on what it's comprised of and break it down for me?
Yeah, sure. So our intake has 3 powered rollers, these 2 in the front here, and this one, which is mainly just to keep the balls kicked into the J-Dexer so they don't build up here in the hopper. We also have these passive bars at the bottom, which we call the kick-up bar. We tried designing without that, and we found we really just needed some kind of ramp that would get the ball to slide up and longer bumpers to get in. So one interesting thing is our kick-up bar is completely passive and gravity powered. So it starts the game just stowed up like this, and when the intake comes down, just by gravity, it falls down into place. And this saved us a lot because we didn't need to worry about a separate motor to power it when we were already drawing a lot of power with this robot.
You guys have one of the widest intakes, I think, just overall bases and stuff for that. When you were looking at this game and going through strategy, was that kind of a number one priority for your team?
Yes, we thought intaking would be really important, especially with the balls scattered all around the field, that we did not want the intake to be the limiting factor on here. So we chose to get a really wide intake and also a very durable intake because we were worried about a bunch of heavy shots. So you can see this front bit here has quarter aluminum to just reinforce the rollers so they can't slide out. In our earlier games, these bolts were all coming loose, and so this additional quarter aluminum really helped with that. And we have a 2x1 here at the front, which allows us to take really hard hits, and we're still fine. You can see the tube is not even bent, and that really just helps us be able to get around the heavy defense, run into walls, whatever we need, safely.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. It isn't too late to order competition apparel for your team at FRC Tees. Founded by FRC alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with expedited options available, go to frctees.com to see why hundreds of teams are making FRC Tees their first choice for their apparel needs. That's frctees.com.
Let's pass it on over to Maya to talk about these dual indexers. Now, this is interesting because a lot of teams, when we see the dual indexer, it's kind of this open middle still, and your team has a clear separation between your different spindexers. Can you just break it down a bit for me on how this all works?
Sure. So we started the season with kind of a typical spindexer design in mind. We did a bunch of prototypes with a center wheel and center spokes and brushes. And what we found when we eventually put these spindexers on our robot was that those wheels, when they were covered by the turret, really didn't have a lot of indexing capacity because they weren't in contact with the ball that often. So what we ended up pivoting to was this J-Dexter design, which uses a rubber-coated belt wrapped around some pulleys to form kind of a racetrack that the balls will go around once they've come into the bot. And then on top we have this cone wheel that we use as a sort of agitation method to make sure that balls don't get stuck in our hopper and jammed, and then this print performs a similar function.
So as you were working through the season and creating this, did you have any major packaging issues or anything like that trying to get everything all together?
Like I mentioned previously, one of the really big issues we had was that the spindexer was covered a lot by the turret, so we moved it out, and we also had a lot of issues with the motor and the gearbox underneath the turret and managing to package that all into a small space.
Ko, on your turrets here overall, I mean, like I said, wow, watching it on the field has been really, really cool. Can you just talk to me about, going the dual turrets, some of the challenges that you've had throughout that, and just how it's been working?
Yeah, for sure. So the biggest challenge I would say with this is trying to package 2 turrets next to each other with a space in the middle for a climber that we don't have, but which very limits our space for the E-chain. And so we had to design our own E-chain based on the WCP bidirectional, I guess, E-chain. We basically made it taller and a bit skinnier so that the wires can do a tighter bend radius, so that we can do a double run at the side of the turret, as you can see. This being able to do this like bend here lets us have about a 400 degrees of range, and I would say that packaging this E-chain with this dual turret setup was the hardest part of all a turret design. And we actually, in our first competition, our shooter hit the trench and the whole turret just kind of like fell onto the ground. I can see the bend over here, and we kind of we call it walking a dog, because the shooter's like a dog and the E-chain's like a leash. And when that happened, the E-chain was like still intact and completely fine. And this is exactly the same E-chain that did actually walk the dog. And so this E-chain is printed on multi-jet fusion printers.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. As you're getting ready for the competition season, think AnyMark as your one-stop shop for all your team needs. AnyMark's Launcher in a Box is a configurable solution that so many teams are finding success with for the rebuilt season. Also available at anymark.com, the AMPD AnyMark power distribution board that provides 24 40-amp independently fused output channels for safe, reliable power distribution. That's anymark.com.
Well, City, let's talk about the shooters that you have as well too. Just break down, all the different components that go into it, and just the success you've been having with it so far.
All right, for sure. So the shooter has one motor powering the rollers. As you can see, we have one X44 over here that powers the hood. The hood has degrees from 15 degrees to 45 degrees, which is all the way up. And the hardest part about making the shooters, as Ko mentioned, was packaging the 2 shooters on the 2 corners of the robot. So obviously the shooter has this like big sweep, and we wanted our shooters to be at the cornermost of the robot, so we have like as much indexer space as possible. And we actually spent quite a bit of time trying to like tune in that value and get the like smallest possible sweep. And to do that, some things we did was switch to the double-sided belt, which is the first time we're trying that in like our team, and that just like basically helped us not have this like extra reduction of like a gear. And some other interesting trade-offs that we made were, we're switching to like one wheel here. So this is a 3-inch wheel and this is a 2-inch wheel. And most commonly there would be 2 wheels over here, but we had to switch to 1 wheel just because of the packaging constraints. And we also have these backstops that help center the single ball even more, just to have a more accurately tuned shot as it goes through the shooter. Because obviously with the 2 turrets, our strength was going to be like accuracy, and just like having the shooters be able to keep up with that was very important. And and we have this kick-up bar down here, over here, that helps like reduce the dead zone as the ball is traveling up the shooter. And this is a custom flywheel that we made to actually meet the weight requirements, because we were initially planning to have a climber that weighed like 20 pounds, and we were like cutting weight on all the subsystems according to it. And so this was as you can see, it's very heavily pocketed. We were trying to make that like severe like weight requirement.
So I've heard climber mentioned twice now. so far. Is there any odds that your team is going to put a climber on later on during the season or anything like that?
We're still considering it. Obviously, there are going to be a lot of changes that we make from now in DCMP. We obviously want to optimize the robot as much as we can. So, yeah, we're trying to integrate some sort of climbing design on the robot.
Rotom, there's a lot of great stuff in terms of your vision. Your team has done such a great job shooting on the move as well too. So can you just tell me more about where your successes have been from and how they've been working out for you so far?
Yeah, so there's like two main parts of our shoe on the move. So the first thing is our vision itself. So this is our first year using a Mac Mini on the robot. In previous years, we used what we called like the Pie Motel, which was just like a stack of like 3 or 4 orange pies on the robot. And so this year we were finally able to move away from that, and we just have one Mac Mini, which is like mounted on the bottom of the robot. And you can see we are running 5 cameras off of it right now. So we have 2 on the front right here, and then 1 on that side of the robot, and 1 over here, like under the turret and the shooter. And it's nice because it's able to process at a fairly high frame rate, which is really great, obviously. And then for our actual shoot on the move, we basically just have a lookup table for depending on the distance that the robot is from the hub. We calculate for each shooter separately, of course, and then we have a hood angle and a speed to run the shooter at. And then we just iterate from there based off of where our robot thinks it will be. It like looks up on the table where to put the hood and how fast to run the shooter.
Well, Brett, thank you so much for taking time. Tell us more about your team and your robot. Congratulations on your success. Already winning San Francisco as we record this. Hopefully another win here as well, too. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. As you're getting ready for the competition season, think AndyMark as your one-stop shop for all your team needs. AndyMark's Launcher in a Box is a configurable solution that so many teams are finding success with for the rebuilt season. Also available at AndyMark.com, the AMPD AndyMark power distribution board that provides 24 40-amp independently fused output channels for safe, reliable power distribution. That's AndyMark.com. It isn't too late to order competition apparel for your team at FRC Tees. Founded by FRC alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with expedited options available, go to frctees.com to see why hundreds of teams are making FRC Tees their first choice for their apparel needs. That's frctees.com.